Hi, my name is Gracie Squire. I race in the Stockcars, number 29.
So we're here at Squire Racing with Dan and Gracie. Here's Gracie's European wing, and we're here to talk about a lot of stock car stories. And as you can tell, some of these very lovely machines of yesteryear, which are synonymous with the sport's history. So yeah, we're going to speak to Dan, going to speak to Gracie. Pete is just getting excited about what's in front of him. And yeah, we're going to have a good chat and discuss all things stock cars. So yeah, it's going to be a good day. Dan's going to give us a walk around, aren't you, Dan?
Certainly.
Yeah. So yeah, I hope you enjoy it.
They're long gone. The originals don't exist. So
the original of that one, that's the one that Smithy had as well, and then sold
yes, correct,
to Chisholm, and then finished runner-up to him all 3 times.
Yeah. Wishes he'd never sold it to him.
Would that have been the Dodo by that point?
No, it was still
this one.
Still this.
Wow.
But I had one similar to this called Gertie.
Yeah, that was a bit bulkier, weren't it?
Almost the same, but the exhausts were on the side.
Yeah. And did he have that while he was waiting for an engine for this then?
Correct. Yes. And John Brown drove the Tony Neal car at
Skeggy, yeah.
He loved it.
Yeah, I see him in his white oval.
Yeah, he embraced the role. He had the helmet, all the gear.
Yeah.
And he'd come off with a big grin on his face.
See, I don't know how true it is. When it first started, I think like basketball days, white overalls were compulsory. I don't know if that's true.
Pass.
I'm sure I read that somewhere. That's part of the rules.
No, I wouldn't know on that. But we'll have to get a guy in one next year somewhere.
Oh yeah, you'd love that guy.
Go full time in the heritage class.
He don't hit anybody anyway, so he'd be alright in these.
Are you comfy enough?
I'm having a lovely time. I'm doing the interview in here, I am.
You got a Doug Wardropper car, haven't you, as well, Dan?
We have. It's on a little holiday at the minute. Trouble is, we got 4 cars, 2, maybe 3 drivers if you include Gracie, 1 van and trailer.
Yeah.
So I did have it for sale, really. Not because I want to get rid of it, but because I wanted it to be at the tracks, at the meetings, under a new owner that would look after it. But that's not happened, so I've sort of lent it to someone who's going to give it a TLC and take it to the meetings and whatnot.
The thing is, as I said, you need to respect history as well, don't you? That's the biggest crux of it, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd be a bit particular to who I'd let any go to, if you know what I mean, because I hate it when someone buys one and then puts silly wide wheels and Hoosiers on them, and they've got to look right. It's the most important thing.
Yeah.
And when we build one or restore one, whatever, the first time you drive it, you like to feel what Smithy felt, or Doug Wardropper, what the car felt like, and that's part of it. Even if it is horrendous, you think, well, that's what it was like. But every time I drive one, it puts a smile on my face.
Well, the thing I always say is without these cars and obviously the people in them, you wouldn't be where you are today, would you?
Right.
So, and that's what you need to appreciate. So,
I think stock car racing's got history that a lot of sports would be quite jealous of, really. Other forms of motor racing haven't been around as well.
The trouble we're finding now with what we call this the golden years heritage, the 60s and 70s, are all the guys that are into that sort of era cracking on a bit, getting on a bit.
Yeah.
And they're not, a lot of them aren't of an age where they can transport a car around the country and look after it, maintain it, or even drive it. So we've got to try and keep it alive, really. That's younger, slightly younger ones, should I say.
What do you do in terms of fixtures? Is it like a club, or promoters get in touch with you? Or
Well, that happens quite a bit, that when there's a certain event, like the Skeggy World Final last year, they wanted all the gold top cars they could find. Yeah, they get in touch with you, or if it's an anniversary or a birthday, there's been events for, Willie Harrison, and they'll have his car. But we do try and get 2 or 3 meetings a year just to, blow the cobwebs off them and have a blast around. But we like to do that in front of the right audience that are going to appreciate them. It's sort of no good really taking them out at a banger meeting or something, because we're just an annoyance to them, really. But you take them out on an F1 meeting, you get a lot of the old fans enjoying them, which is what it's all about. So
there you go.
we're in Squire HQ. Yeah. It's nice and warm in here. Why is your workshop not this warm, Guy?
This one was different gravy down. Like handle cold weather.
What work have we got on the way at the minute, Dan?
Well, we're not going to do a great deal. Got a bumper off, new bumper, probably a new back bumper. This guy keeps bashing into it.
He can't catch her. We like to bash into her.
The engine's out, obviously been checked from all the winning she's been doing, which is nice, but it's forced a bit of
Hard work, all that winning, isn't it? That's not.
Forced a bit of a
ideal, is
rebuild,
it?
which is due because since she started racing, the engine's not been out the car.
And one car on both surfaces.
One car, both surfaces, and we don't seem to be having any issues with that, really. It's been really good. Not like when I used to race the F1, the changes we had to do then were massive, but we don't change a lot.
You're one of the few that still runs one car as well, aren't you, to be fair?
And people sort of think she's just a tarmac driver, really, but she's not. She's got some good. She's had some better laps, fastest laps on shale around Bradford, and
Brian Jolly Memorial.
that was a classic.
Podium finisher in a world final at Bradford.
Yeah. That was a different kind of racing, though, wasn't it? That was
Yeah.
survival. That
Duck
was.
race.
It was a duck race. But other things are going on. The car, in a way, takes a bit of a back step because we've got stuff like this going on. This is a mini stock engine, and we've got a few of them that we've built, which funds our racing, really. All helps to it. This is dyno, my engine dyno that I've built, so we can test them and get the best out of them. So yeah, there's a lot of other work that goes on here, and it sort of stops us doing what we want to do, which is play stock cars.
Would you run another car if you could, or would you stick with one?
We've thought about getting another car, but again, we wouldn't probably have a shale and tarmac car. It'd probably just be more of a spare, or one that I could have a go in and see if I could beat her.
You went all right around Skeg when you had that midweek meeting.
Yeah,
That was a couple of years ago,
that
wasn't
was a bit a puff afterwards, trying to get away from John Brown. I didn't want to get destroyed and driven over like he did to Gracie.
He's done that to you at Skeg as well. He's a bit of a bully, that John Brown, isn't he?
Sell
Really?
wings, don't he? That's what it is. Sell wings.
He doesn't care. He doesn't care if it's his own wing. He gave Gracie a wing and then drove over it. Bless him. So, yeah.
Do I lead the way?
This,
Oh dear, who did that? Look at that.
well, I think that might be a bit of Bradford.
That'd be John Brown.
This end of the shop, yeah, stock cars, fabrication. And then I'll put this curtain up to divide it into how messy it can get. And then this is engines. This is where we build all the engines. Got these 2 mini stock engines ready to go to their customer.
Who are some bigger name mini drivers that use your engines that people might know?
Bowden Murphy, Luca Hodgson. Been a few. I mean, to be honest, I don't advertise or anything. The work sort of finds me, and I'm quite lucky. I get to sort of pick and choose my customers, really. It isn't my day job. I have to do this in the evenings, and that's where it takes my time away from.
What is your day job? What are you doing?
Engine
9 to
builder.
5?
Have you seen him on Guy Martin's thing? You're slacking.
Yeah, I work for a company called Engine Developments, and we do all classic racing car engines. But there's all sorts on the go in here. There's, I've got a Pontiac V8, a Land Rover engine. I've got a road car mini engine, Gracie's V8. Hoping to build another Rover, but it's just time, whether I get the time. So yeah. A little bit of a machine shop area, swarf corner. I'll keep it away from that. We've got this is actually a bit of a shed that we rent out to Rob Harrod, and he's building this Cronshaw replica. I don't think he's going to stick with the cardboard panels. He probably, but it's coming on.
Which one is this going to be? Just for those who are interested.
This will be, I think it's 68. I've probably got a picture of it in its finished form.
There you go. You'll be putting a picture in here, Guy.
But the trouble is with these heritage cars, you have to build them backwards, because obviously it's all about the way it looks. It's got to look right to that than photographs. Otherwise, someone's going to pick on it. But when you build a stock car for yourself, you build it and it sort of looks the way it looks. It turns out the way it does. So you sort of have to start with the body and everything and work back. This is his build manual.
And these are all built just from photographs?
Yeah.
You ain't got any original plans or anything to go off?
No. So it is difficult to scale everything. There's Doug sat on it.
So it's just a case of getting as many photos as you can, and
He's done quite well. He's got a lot of pictures of it. Even like inside the cab. Look.
Is that you?
But, yeah, that's the car.
How old was you then?
how long's this going to be in build for, do you reckon?
I think he'd like to probably get it finished towards the end of this season. Maybe latest the start of the next. But again, it's Rob's an old boy now, and he doesn't have the time to spend hours on it. He's got other things in life, but it's an evening, weekend job when he can.
Labour of love.
That's right. Use them in the background and stuff, can't you?
Where's your old Buick engine as well? Can we get that?
My old Buick.
Yeah, oh, you've got it.
It's there.
All right, is it?
Well, some of it. Dawson's got it under his bench.
I thought it
Did it go with the car when Dawson had the car?
Yeah.
Did he race it?
Yeah, he did his whole first season with it. Got in the world final with it.
We'll come on to that later. I need to ask you about this engine. Who first had this black and yellow paint scheme? Who was the first Squire to use that?
That'd be my Uncle Richard. He's the first one to race in the family. And he worked for a civil engineering company called Lang. And their colours were black and yellow, and he could get the paint from work. So that's sort of where it came from.
Cool pictures everywhere. You're looking young in some of these, Dan. Do you know what I read in the programme at Gala Night at Skeg? Do you know who won the first under-25 championship in F1s?
Who was that?
That'd be Dan Squire.
Yeah, I can remember that. I had to dispose of Stuart Smith Jr. early in the race.
Where was it at?
Bellevue.
Was it?
Yeah, he. I don't know whether I'd already been out in a heat or I'd watched the first heat, but it was a real dry day, real dusty. And I realised those tyres, especially, it's like going around that Bellevue, slinging it in and doing a handbrake turn at the end of each straight. Then tyres are going to go off. So I think Stuart come by and I gave him a big and ditched him and rattled him round the wires a bit, but it gave me a break. And then I just started tarmac driving, looking after the tyres, and he was there screaming the hell out of them, trying to catch me up to get me, but I just walked away with it then. But it was good. It was a good meeting. It was sponsored by Corona. The Jacqueline boys had the Corona sponsorship, and we got cases of Corona and all sorts. And
so that's why you were pushing so hard. That's the reason.
I remember breaking down on the way home. The van broke down. The engine in the van blew up on the way home. And we were all sat on the hard shoulder drinking Corona because we'd won all these boxes of Corona. And Frankie Wayman Sr. had to come and rescue us. He was doing the fence. We had to ring him up and say, "Oh, can you come and help?"
That is literally a thing of highs and lows of racing.
Yeah. We almost considered getting the stock car off, to tow the van to the services or whatever. But from the Grand National, the diff was stripped and it was wrecked. So there's, like you say, highs and lows, but the memory of breaking down is almost more vivid than the racing.
I'm a bit wobbly at the minute.
We're not going.
We don't get this at every podcast. John had to sit on some deck chairs.
John Brown had us on wonky deck chairs. And,
Kev probably have us sat on a bumper.
Yeah.
This is nice. This is like you find this.
I always feel like before the football starts.
Yeah. I'll take it.
And we're getting on.
Yeah.
Is that hot enough to make
it's because
from teammates?
Shannon got me this fleece coat for Christmas, and then her sister bought me a fleece.
You're joking? Double fleece?
Yeah.
Well, we need Gracie to talk. So
Can we
this
talk at this
stylish,
volume?
yeah, we can talk at this volume.
That's probably enough.
Enough.
Yeah, that's working. Tell us about this stylish 90s jacket you're wearing.
This could be an outfit.
These
I feel like I've
original
seen
team
this.
jackets.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen this jacket.
This one's Craig's, Bangram. And then there's one that's my nanny's, so dad's mum's, and yours. They just.
You need to get that one for you. Look at that.
That's a classic.
You have to make another run of them. People want them.
That's like
I love it. I wear it like every meeting.
It's like having a T-Birds leather coat.
It's just like that. It's just like it. Right, professional. Right, here we are at Squire HQ. We've been really looking forward to this all Christmas. Coming along, so thank you very much, Dan and Gracie, for having us. We're going to dive straight in. We've got some notes. We've already been having a chat already, and we'll just see where we go. And Guy will chip in if he's awake enough and alert enough to do so. So there'll be a lot of people watching it will know the Squire family, know the name, know the black and yellow colours. So let's start with introduction to the Squire family. Who's who? Talk to us about the Waymans. Talk to us about the relatives. Drop all the names in there you can, because a lot of people watching will be interested to know about the whole kind of Squire dynasty.
Okay. Well, I'll do Squires and you can do Waymans. So it all started for the Squires in the very early 60s with my granddad. He never raced, but he took his kids racing. My dad was one of 7, so there's a lot of kids to drag around the stock car tracks, and he was such a mad fan of the sport. He became the chairman of the Stock Car Supporters Association. They would sell stock car magazines and things around the tracks. So my dad and his brothers and sisters just grew up around it. And then when they were the first one, Richard, who was old enough to race, they got himself a welder and bodged up a car and thought they'd have a go. And that's where it all came from. So Richard was the first one to race. Then my dad, then David. Then I think it was a big gap, and then me. And then before my kids raced, there was a couple of cousins, Corey and Anthea, but that was just in mini stocks. And then Gracie took over, really, after I had finished. So, yeah.
I'm obviously the spawn of 2 really good racing families. So my granddad is Frank Brendan, my grandma's Alison, and then my uncles are Danny and Frankie. My cousins are Phoebe, Little Ted. And I could hop in the truck racing with them sometimes. It's just
So it all just ties in
raised
together.
both sides of my family, racing.
That's some family heritage, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Between the two.
Yeah, my granddad loves it. Sort of keeping up with my racing.
Were you running Frank's last Aerofoil that had his final tour?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's my favourite airfoil with the scroll on
Yeah,
it.
that's yeah.
I mean, the Waymans aren't particularly involved with the car or the team. We all do it all down here. There's a big distance between us, so it's hard, but it's only a phone call. And I remember when Gracie went to Red Top, I get a phone call to Danny. He got a red wing lying around, and there at Hednesford, there it was.
Yeah.
Frankie Senior's old wing, ready to go. So they're always willing to chip in and help with Gracie.
It's nice as well because Frank Senior, Danny, they've all raced V8s at some point, haven't they?
Yeah.
So it's quite, it's nice. Phoebe British champion, wasn't she?
First
following the
female
mantle,
champion.
Yeah.
Second female champion. 40 plus years.
It's all in the blood.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't necessarily the plan for you to get into racing at all, really. It was sort of happened by accident. I was still racing at the time, and we'd had a family split up. Gracie's mum and I split up, which meant I saw the kids at the weekends, but with them not having school friends here and that, we needed something to do. So we actually, by accident, we saw a show on the Discovery Channel, wasn't
We
it?
were just watching TV one night, and Banner Boys was on, and one of the daughters was racing ninja carts, and they showed that on the TV.
Yeah.
And Dad was like, "Oh, how would you like to do that?" And I was like, "Looks good to me."
Straight in.
Yeah.
So we downloaded the rules off the internet and built a car. We never even went to a meeting to have a look at them or anything. We built this car to the rules, my interpretation of the rules, and we went racing. And and it was good from the word go. But what it meant from a family point of view is all of a sudden, as you know, with racing, you get many friends quite quickly, and so it did the job. You know, you came here at the weekends, looking forward to seeing your other friends at racing and that, and then it gave them a life down here as well, rather than me trying to think of stuff for them to do.
And then from your perspective, it carries on the family dynasty, doesn't it?
So, I mean, for us, for our age, we've talked about this. What we remember of 291 and the F1s was this black and yellow car, Coventry, mixing it with all the big drivers. What do you remember of your dad's racing when you were younger yourself?
Well, I was only so young, I was probably like 5 or 6, so all I remember is being on somebody's shoulders, probably Rich, and just Shale flying at his eyes, big ear defenders on, just like trying to find his car. Obviously didn't know much about racing at that age, but yeah, just playing in the mud. Just tagging along, you know. That's all I really remember. Always Coventry.
You were always filthy and scraping the car off and not trying
just like being there.
Yeah, you were all getting involved.
So, Gracie, you went from Ninja Karts. Next was Minis.
That was a big change. That was a big jump from like a go-kart to a mini stock, I think.
Yeah, you know, I wasn't expecting it to be such a leap for her as it was, because she was good in Ninja Kart, had a lot of success. But I remember her doing her first race at Skeggy in a Mini, and as first races goes, it was perfect, textbook. Started at the back, finished the race, might have only just got lapped at the end. It was great, but she come off the track. All of her friends were there to greet her, and she sort of I could tell she's putting on a bit of a brave face. She smiled, and then she went and got in the van. I followed her, and by the time I got there, she was in tears.
It just shook the life out of me. The difference in the contact. Yeah, I think contact in minis is rough. And to go from, I've had some crashes in the Ninja Car, I've had a rollover and all sorts, bent my axle and a half, but it doesn't compare to even just like a tap around the corner in the Mini, I think.
I think sometimes we forget that, because if you haven't been in a stock car, the sensation of being hit is something that every time you drive a vehicle, you do everything you can to avoid hitting anything. Then you're in a stock car, but then you're talking about 10, 11-year-olds.
And a lot of them going very fast.
Yeah.
And the conception of a mini stock now, they're more like a mini saloon, aren't they? There's not much what it's actually really there. So.
But yeah, she was in tears, and I didn't really know what to do. I didn't know what was wrong with her, and it dawned on me it was just such a shock to the system.
Yeah.
And I said to her, "Well, it's entirely to you, no pressure. You don't have to go back out if you don't want to." But it was textbook. You did great.
Yeah.
And I think the pressure of all of your friends had come to watch you and things. She went back out, and with every race in that meeting, you enjoyed it a bit more and more until you got over it.
Is there pressure because of who your dad is, or when you're 10, 11, you don't really think about that? No.
I was just there to race,
Just doing your own
see my friends. Yeah.
So that's Gracie's start. So let's flip it over to Dan. So how did you start off? Obviously, we know you from F1s. Tell us how you started off.
I grew up with it, you know, going along racing with my dad and my uncle and all that, and I was just stock car mad. Built Lego stock cars, drew, you know, scribbled on the corner of your homework drawings of stock cars. That's, you know, so that's all I cared about. And you know, when I was coming up to 10 years old, it was, Dad, I want a Mini. Dad, I want a Mini. No, you're not having a Mini. You know. And then birthday came, no Mini stock there. Really upset. Probably cried. And what he did in the end, he got us just a normal road Mini that we could learn to drive in round the field. I'm lucky enough that my godparents got a farm, so there was a bit of land to use. So yeah, we learned to drive. Me and a pair of lads from Daventry, the Trehernes, you might have heard of them. We teamed up and bought this Mini and learned to drive. And we then, between us, bought a Mini stock ready to race with £200 with spares.
But I'm guessing back in the time that was actually still quite a bit of money.
No, I think it was quite cheap.
Oh, was it?
You know, but yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
200 quid's a lot of money.
But
it's time.
I am. Don't like it.
But it was a heap. This thing, you know, it was literally, you know, you're saying they're like little saloons now. This was a Mini with the doors welded shut and some bars welded on the outside. That's what it was. And it was heavy as well. And I did 2 meetings in it, and you could pretty much go flat out all the way round in it. The other cars were coming past either side, but you did all you could do, and it was fun. But going back to Gracie and her start, having raced Ninjas, she had a little bit of experience that I can just remember, you know, it just almost being told what's going to happen in the pits before the race, and off you go. That was your first experience, was getting on a track with 25, 30 other cars, you know, and that was...
You're tough for that.
But because I had whinged so much about, Dad, I want a Mini, Dad, I want a Mini, even though I probably was as scared as you, I couldn't admit it, so I had to carry on. But and deep inside, I wanted to do it, so I had to conquer that, you know. But that was my start. But after my 2 meetings in that old car, we realised it's just not going to cut it. So myself and the Trehernes, we built our own cars. Still very much a team effort. My dad sort of did the engines, and John, that's the Trehernes' dad, he would help with the cars, my car. And yeah, we both went out in the next season with new cars. And my dad, being typical of my dad, he said, right, you start at the front. I was all up for it. Brand new car, been practicing in it. It was fast, you know, it was good. But as soon as the green flag dropped, I remember getting spun round, getting several head-on hits, and going backwards into the wall at Northampton, going under my seatbelt. There was no crotch strap back in them days, and yeah, it was like, to me, it felt like a near-death experience, and that knocked me a lot. That did, and it took me probably the best part of the season to get back from that. I was pulling out of the way, but eventually I got there. And the rest is history, really.
Then Mini straight into F1s?
Yes, raced on my 16th birthday at Buxton in a Formula One. I actually finished Minis a season early. Did a little bit of go-karting, but it's just not the same. It's nothing like being in a stock car stadium. You know, it's almost gladiatorial, isn't it? The way it is, it
brings its own atmosphere.
Yeah, there's no atmosphere at the karting. For me, there wasn't. And again, it was, Dad, I want to go stock car racing. I was actually looking at the Speedworth V8s at the time, because I was always conscious of budget. My dad not having a great deal of money and whatnot, so I found this Speedworth V8s, and they've got Jeep Avon tyres and all that. And he sort of fell out with stock cars a little bit at that point. But he said, well, if you're going to go racing, you go in Formula One racing, because we've got one under a sheet in the field, which was my uncle's old 1980s John Kaiser car. And I was like, yeah, all right, you know, forget the V8s then. But when we dug this car out, it was so out of date. The roll cage was illegal. It was box section, and so what we did, I bought a bare chassis used off John Kaiser, a more modern one.
Yeah.
I took the axles, engine, gearbox, everything out of this old car and put into this chassis. And looking back, it was a real shed, really. But I didn't know no better. My dad hadn't been involved in Formula One stock car racing for a long time, so he was a little bit behind the times with it. Back in the days in the 70s and early 80s when he raced, it was really, if you've got a wheel on each corner, it's good enough to go, which was still sort of how it was when we were building this car. And in a way, like I say, he fell out with the sport a little bit. I think he wanted me to not like it, teach me a lesson, send him out in this and he won't want to do it anymore. Yeah. But after maybe 3 or 4 meetings, I managed to win a heat at Sheffield. And the bug bit him then. I think he must have thought, if he can do it in that whole thing that was supposed to teach him a lesson, let's have a proper go, sort of thing. So we did, and it was painful, but it progressed, and you've seen the rest, I guess.
I said, I'll probably move on to it later, but I always said, Pete and everything. My biggest thing with you was obviously when you were sort of in your days where you're probably more at the top end of what I'd say in your career. It was, I remember there was you and Stephen Kaiser, I think we discussed this before, on Shannon, probably at a time compared to Andrew, Frank and that, you was probably classed as the underdogs. But on your day, you was right there with them, and I always remember you guys at Bell News and Coventry today. You was always sort of there. You might not be winning, but you was always in the mix.
Well, for me, I never expected to go stock car racing and win championships or anything really. I just wanted to do it and be involved, but being able to compete is all I ask, really. I like to be on the grid and feel like if it all goes my way, I've got a chance. Yeah. And if you don't feel like that, I don't think there's any point doing it.
I think you've always had those underdogs in stock car racing, but I think, it's difficult to find the right way to say it without belittling drivers like yourself and Kate. It was almost like you shouldn't be mixing it with the biggest names, but you were, and you were beating them, and you were getting stuck in, and you wouldn't move for them.
Yeah, it was difficult, because I sort of, when I was in minis and that, as a 12-year-old, Frankie Jr., Andy Smith, they're all your Andy Hodgson's with his big bus and and then all of a sudden you're racing with them, and in those early years with the old car, they were still these almost gods, if you don't mess with them, they just come flying past, but then as I got better and we got a better car together and realised actually I was keeping up with him then, and just gradually, until you got brave enough to start mixing it. But it was weird how these, I guess, heroes turned into rivals. Because I was a big Andy Smith fan. The Waymans won't like to hear that, but I liked his cars and all that. But going back to racing against these heroes, should I say? Really, it became a bit you fell out with them a little bit because you have on track battles and whatnot, but especially I'd say young Stuart, he is and was still a very good friend, but so occasionally I felt like I was racing with him and perhaps
lines were crossed a little bit, and it was almost like he didn't have time to be racing with this this yellow and black brush painted car, and where he'd have done something a little bit what I consider a little more dirty, and it ruins that. Like I say, it says never meet your idols, but that's what that means. I guess it's a compliment. You're getting good.
Yeah, definitely. Right, so flipping over to Gracie. So mini career comes to an end. Straight into a V8.
Yeah, we kind of talked around it, and it was Dad's idea to go into V8s. I didn't really know a lot over that. BB raced them. F1 was a step up from V8s. I didn't know a lot about it, but when you talked to me about it, I thought this was a great idea.
Why the V8 then? Why hot stocks?
Well, again, budget, and also I didn't know a lot about it, but the community, I guess, people.
I saw it as from the mechanical car point of view, as they were probably the only thing left going that proper stock car in my mind, built out of parts from the scrapyard, really, not race parts. And I know there's certain bits that have moved on, gearboxes and whatnot, but it's still proper stock cars. I think F1s is just out of reach for us, and they're all the same. Every V8 is different. You go look around the track.
I think as well, like, off the back of that, if somebody always comes and asks me, naturally, it's an honest answer. I said, well, if you can't do F1s because of budget or whatever, what people's opinions are, I still believe, pound for pound, V8s are really your next best thing, aren't they? In terms of power, size.
I grew to fall in love with V8s really, really fast. My first meeting.
I genuinely think if you try and take an unbiased view, if you're at a meeting where F1s and V8s are on, and you watch the V8s, more often than not, the V8 racing is as good, if not better, than some of the F1 racing.
Especially if you've got the numbers, isn't it?
There's some, on track. Some of it's brilliant. Gala Night's another example. The V8s were brilliant. Gala Night just gone.
So I agree. I completely agree. I think it's that tyre. The tyres are what's keeping it all in check, keeping the racing close. The racing's closer because the speeds aren't too high.
Yeah.
It's good. But we also quite quickly after we started realised that all the people involved in it, all the other drivers, look very like-minded. They're all in it for the same reason, that they think they're proper stock cars, and they're all the old school.
Yeah, I mean, for me, coming in and coming along with Guy, is you will watch the drivers smashing the hell out of each other, and then they're underneath each other's cars, borrowing a welder, borrowing this and that, and it's. So this car behind us, this is Gracie's car. This is just the one car that you race. What's the history of this car? Where's this been built? What do you know about this one?
You want me to take this one?
Yeah, you go for it.
Well, we've got had a long relationship with John and Bruno, and John had advertised this car for sale, and I approached him about it, and he agreed to give me a good price for it. It was just a rolling car, which I thought great. What the easiest way for us to try it is get a car. I can build an engine, probably easier than I can build a car. and that's what we did. Really, I don't think the car was built by John Brown. I think it's been through a couple of hands before him. I think Sophie may have had it.
So I think
Sophie.
Sophie had it for a year.
And is it Arrowsmith?
Yeah.
But I do know that John and Bruno had given it a big revamp. I'd seen some pictures of it with the sun cage chopped off, and but yeah, really, it's as it was when we bought it. You know, the suspension and everything. Not a lot has changed. It's just we've tweaked it the old ways, simple ways. You know, and I sort of promised myself not to get too technical with it, because you go backwards sometimes. So you know, you got just keep adjusting it the simple ways that work. Find the sweet spot. Yeah.
So what are you doing with this car? Running one car that means you can win a European Championship on a track like Ipswich, and then win a Brian Jolly Memorial on a shell track like Northampton? Because we'd really like to know, because we've got no tarmac for them. So if you can let us know what we need to be doing.
Well,
what changes are you doing between me?
What aren't you guys doing? You know, we don't do a great deal.
At the end of every season, we're not stripping it to a tiny bit of metal and taking everything off it and replacing loads of stuff. Or it's just, I was saying to Dad, it's like a really good old worn leather boot, because we don't do a great deal of changing with it, just adjusting and learning.
But it's very rare, isn't it?
Yeah.
But we don't change something. Every race we have a chat, and you know, if you didn't, it wasn't absolute perfection, and you didn't win that race, we changed something, and that's how you find these. You know, we've got massive folder full of notes to keep track of it.
I keep saying to you, write stuff down.
That's
Never does.
It's got me phone for it. I write one letter on my phone. A. Whatever that means.
A lot of the work is learned and done at the track racing, really, and then you come home and...
Well, yeah, it has to be, because with you being sometimes just turn up late at the meeting, you know, it's a crash course, really.
I like the sound of this arrive and drive. Just rock up, smash the car up and go home. Yeah. What did you think of it when you raced it, Dan? And compared to, obviously, you've been at the top of oval racing in the UK is Formula One stock cars. It just is. In comparison, when you had to go in this, what did you think? Did you still enjoy it? What did you think?
Oh, absolutely. I really enjoyed it. It's obviously been a long time since I've raced any tarmac in my Formula One, but it was comparable to that. Absolutely. You know, the power to grip ratio, it was similar, almost, or maybe even felt like I had more power in this, but I was only racing an old Buick. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was really good. It was close, fast, no complaints at all. I can see why Gracie loves it. You know,
I think the knock's going to you guys as well. Just flipping back a bit to that, where you say you're always tweaking things. I think, like, going back to that day when you won my dad's Royal on the show, like, everybody all day, even we're talking about, do you risk doing a tarmac time? And like, we were talking about putting one on the back inside. We all come on track for the final, and then I see Gracie pull up, and I was like, full tarmac tyres, and I was like, no way. I thought that's like suicide. And then as the race went on, I could just see the gap just keep edging out, and I thought, nah, this ain't going to happen.
We literally set the car up as we do for Skegness and went out for the final. Yeah.
I mean, you're not a big-headed driver, in all seriousness, but we were fairly confident at that Northampton. Like, we were quite hopeful. We thought, we'll be all right.
You kind of read,
just couldn't get near Gracie.
Yourselves, you can't. You never say it to people, but you don't. Well, we do anyway. I go to a meeting, and especially on the show, you kind of know who your main people are, and when you know you're quite good yourself, you can sort of gauge probably how your day is going to unfold just by the way it starts. And that just totally. Yeah. When you done that, I just thought fair play.
On the way to the meeting, or even before, I was all, I'm not really confident with shale. I think I can be better. And we were talking about all that. And I went out on for the first heat, there was actually some shale on the track for that, and won it. I just drove off, and then I was like, okay, I've got some good shale skills after all. And then it ended up being pretty much tarmac by the end of the meeting anyway, but it just proved that I could do.
When you went out in that second heat, which was just the tarmac track, basically dust bowl, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I think you spun off and pulled off.
Yeah.
And
wasn't good.
You went from winning dominantly in the first heat to that. There was a big change needed, and this is what we come up with. It's a bit funny, really, because I remember looking around and thinking, why isn't nobody doing this? You know, even looking in the back of people's transporters, and they're like, I haven't even bought any tarmac tyres, you know, and we'd got them ready, thinking, I think we should do this, we should go for it. And I can remember Bruno, being Bruno, come over with his Newcastle Brown, sat there, you know, it was a hot day, wasn't it? Sat under the awning with us. And we got all these tyres ready to go on, and he hadn't clocked them. And I'd like pushed them under the side rail, sort of waiting for him to go before we showed our cards, But he wouldn't go. I kept saying, they're going out in a minute, Bruno.
We'd have to change
The thing is, like, we had a camera, and I know you guys can see it, but like you can literally see when I was there, as the race went on, you just kept getting faster and faster, and we was just sort of...
We were watching it. It was just getting bigger and bigger.
I actually think it was you getting slower and slower because the tyres couldn't take it.
Well, I think you're right, because I remember on a day, because you're gauging where everybody else is, and I was looking in the mirror and just nobody was there, and I think everybody, like you say, was just falling back, and you were just going away.
Is that specific to shale, making those kind of drastic setup changes, or do you have tarmac meetings where you do something crazy as that?
It's a little less often on tarmac, but we have done it. You went on a bit of a crash course when you first started racing, because we didn't really know what we were doing with it. And when we first started, the whites were allowed to have the 14-inch tyres still, which you did well on, didn't you? And then she went up to blue. I had to go on to the 15s, and it was useless, wasn't it? And we were, John was a good help to us, really. He told us what to do with the tyres and whatnot, but we always do our own thing, don't we? We don't, if we're going to do something, or someone's telling us to do something, we want to know why. I think you've always got to understand why you're doing something. If you're just stabbing in the dark, you get lost. But we did a big change at Gala night on the wet tarmac. You almost wanted to go home because it was rubbish. We did a massive change, and then you actually beat Nigel Green's lap time once you got used to it. So that worked, and you got third.
So what was your first meeting? What do you remember of your first? You talked about jumping from a Ninja Kart to a Mini was a big shock. A Mini to a V8.
Well, a Mini to a V8 was actually the opposite. It was great. It was relieving, I think. I borrowed one of John's cars and went out in one of John's cars. And I went out for my 5 practice laps, and I was just revving. Going fast, and I was like, this is great. And I'd only ever driven the V8 onto the trailer, like 5 metres in the yard, driven it on the trailer, did 5 practice laps.
When you were doing that, at Skeggy, you have to get through the tunnel and over to the track. We'd sent her off to do these 5 laps, and I think they just took you straight on. We didn't have time to get there, but we could hear this car going round, echoing, absolutely flat out. thinking it was, you know, almost an F1 practice or something.
I was going to say it was some cars having your first meeting. Because it's like one of the top cars, isn't it?
Oh, it was brilliant, wasn't it?
It was brilliant fun. It was great.
And Bruno, John wasn't with us on the day, but Bruno looked after us really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he loved it, didn't you? You started at the back.
Started at the back, and then did I go from white at the last one?
Yes.
The last race, I was like, let's just go from white because I'm having fun at the back, and it's been great so far.
I think you were winning.
Yeah, I was winning
the
for a
Grand
while,
National,
and
and
then
the
there was
yellows come out.
Yeah, and then everyone could catch, and then
And you tried to have everyone at the last bend and cocked it up, I think.
yeah.
But
No, it was good
So
fun, good
no practice days, no going to Skeg on an afternoon.
No,
it was 5 laps and then you were in.
Yeah,
in
there's
fact,
5 laps.
in
the
fact,
first.
you hadn't raced anything
For a
all
long
that
time.
year.
Yeah, because we did that meeting at the end of the year, didn't we?
Yes, she'd raced nothing for a whole season and just drove
Out.
John's car basically on the truck at the yard and then onto the track. That was it.
I think that's when you sense if somebody's going to be good or not as well.
Yeah.
If you can go and get a top 5 in your first meeting or something, or be running like that.
It did feel like it put a lot of pressure on me because we'd already got this car at the time, obviously not finished.
To live up to expectations.
Yeah, I was just thinking, cobble it together, send her out, much more like my dad did years ago. But all of a sudden, she's gone out in this good car and already proved that she can do it. I've got to give her something as good as that car. And that's not easy, is it? Like you say, John and Bruno are working on that car all the time. It's a good car.
I think I was just really happy to be in a V8 because I'm not talking down to minis because minis are minis, but I remember getting in John's car and being like, a stock car. Finally I'm in a stock car, and it just felt amazing from the start.
The thing is as well, I think a few mini drivers have all said the same. I think you probably I didn't actually do minis, but the consensus I get is you get to a point in minis, you've been doing them for 4 or 5 seasons, and whether it's because you grow up, you kind of grow out of a car, you probably start feeling you want to do more, don't you?
Yeah.
Obviously, you're probably ready then to hop out of it, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, minis is always a little bit rushed and pressured as well because you only get those 4 or 5 seasons.
I managed to get 3rd in the world final in minis by the end of my mini career, which was a nice building up to that from the beginning and learning.
We were done with minis by the time we finished, weren't we? We were sort of happy.
Happy with where we got, and
that was a lot of work, a lot of pressure compared to these. This is much more where we want to be. The fixture list as well, not having 50, 60 meetings a year is.
I think that's important because you see on social media, the fixture list will come out and people will go, there's only 20 odd meetings. But that's kind of a really integral part of what the hot stocks is.
Yeah,
it's not supposed to be.
We don't even do all of those, but if we wanted to, we could.
Yeah.
You know. So I think we enjoy that side of it.
So, debut at Skeg, how long until the first final win came?
it was a little while. I think first final win was last year.
I think it was your second season.
Yeah, it's my first season. I don't think I won a final, but I did win.
You won a few races, yeah.
Some nationals.
He got second in the British.
Was that
Yeah.
I think it was a Thursday night one, a midweek one.
Really?
Yeah. I remember you went out on the track with Richard Khalid to talk about your car and all that.
Yeah, was it that meeting?
Yeah, and then you won one of the heats and then you won the final.
Yeah.
Right, I'll just reintroduce the question and you can address it. Okay.
Sorry.
Right, so first final win, so you've had your debut meeting at Skeg, and then how long until you were winning finals?
It was a little while because I didn't win a final in my first season, the first proper season. I won a couple of heats in the national and I got second in the British, which was amazing. But the first time I won a final was my second season, and I think it was a Thursday night at Skeg, and I went out and won the heat, and it was just a good meeting, and went out and won the final as well. And
I think he rattled Matt Barnard
yeah,
to win it. I think I remember him talking on the mic afterwards, giving you some respect,
yeah,
which was it's nice. That's another thing we like in the V8s. You know, everybody, there's a bit of respect between everybody. Everyone goes hard and races hard.
Yeah.
But it's all generally in the spirit of stock car racing.
yeah.
I love those Thursday night gigs. I'm hoping we'll get one of them this year.
Yeah, I do.
They're brilliant.
It's that Wednesday night e-sport, you got to watch
Yeah.
it.
Forget about that. Right, so I make it 12 finals you'd have, Guy. You have 2 this year.
Yeah.
How long till Gracie overtakes you? How long did it take to get your first final?
Quite a while. Quite a long time actually, about 5 years. Because bit like Dan actually, when we first started our first car, it was when Hot Stocks was still using like an F1 chassis, so it'd been sat in a shed in Rochdale for about, I don't know, probably about 15 years. Dragged it out, and again, very budget, because sort of I was keen wanting to do it, but I think my dad thought it'd be a passing phase.
Yeah.
So he said, if you want to do it, you're doing it on your own back. So I saved money, and this car was like 1,250 quid or something. It was literally, see a picture of it, it was like 80 spec. So again, we literally got it up to date, right on a like top weight limit at the time. And to be fair, it was a tank there, learning the craft. It was good for on shale. To be fair, we had a few seconds and thirds, but probably now the same as you. Like looking back, probably arguably had it 2 seasons too long. We had it like for 3 seasons, and then we got another car off Mike Boswell, and it just like a switch, just transformed everything. And like,
I do think it's good for a driver to have a rough car.
it makes you appreciate.
And you can deal with things better if there's a bit of damage or something, and you've got to race with it. You know, it's.
I think 2014, which first final was actually a Supreme Championship. So
Not a bad one to win.
But it feels like once you, I don't know how you feel, but it feels like it's getting to that first one, and then it's like waiting for a bus. You see once you've done it, you can start building on it then, can't you? So
we bring it forward to 2025. The fixtures come out, and Ipswich is on the fixture list. Ipswich European Championship. And it's a bit of an unknown. No one really knew what was going to happen. So tell us about that meeting. Winning the European Championship with one of the things that really stands out in Hot Stocks is Phoebe Wayman Hawkins won the British Championship. It brings a lot of attention. A woman winning a major title doesn't happen very often. And I think probably a lot of people thought, well, that might not happen again. And then we come to 2025 and you've gone and done the same thing. So just tell us about that.
I was really not knowing what to expect when we were pulling up to Ipswich, because I'd only ever raced there like once in my Ninja car all those years ago. So I didn't know I was really going to take it in a V8, but we figured it out, and it wasn't that bad, was it? It wasn't that different.
It was. I think it was
fast track, long straights.
It was, a bit new for everyone, wasn't it?
Take that to an advantage.
Nobody really knew what gears to put in or anything, and it was just right, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like we were saying earlier, tweaks. After every race, there was tweaks done.
We were figuring it out,
and it was getting that bit better. But it was nice just being there, feeling like we were in with a shout.
Yeah,
it wasn't like we're going to win this. We never thought that at all.
I didn't go out on the track expecting to just piece of piss it at all.
Yeah.
It was.
At what point did you know that was happening? When the lap boards come out and the green flag goes, when do you know?
It was so hard. Despite leading most of the race, it was difficult because I got through at the start. And I was away in a way, but I had Sophie behind me and Dan, and they were there. And if I cock up once, or I don't know, get my tyres too hot or just like spin, then that's it. And I had to hold it for an entire race, and the pressure was massive, and I was like holding my breath and biting my tongue, and then it's just we got across the finish line and the European champion. It was a lot of waiting and focusing, waiting it out.
I guess there's no room for error on a track like that. If you're leading at the front, you've got drivers like that breathing down your neck.
Yeah.
So what are you doing while you're in the car? Are you talking to yourself? Are you telling yourself lift, brake? What are you? Is your mind clear?
So I get out onto the grid, and just before the yellows come out, I tell myself, right, keep your tongue behind your teeth. Don't stick your tongue out, because I'll just bite my tongue out if I crash, which I've done before. And I kind of just remember to breathe, because when I'm focusing as well, I forget to breathe.
When I had to go in it, I come out gasping for air. I stopped to breathe. I was concentrating that hard.
So I just kind of focus myself and then away with it. And then I have some days where I'm not really in it, and I'm not really like in a flow state with it at all, and then my mind's elsewhere. I have to be fully on the track, plan ahead in a way, scheme my race, and you've got to be able to think fast.
I think, just from personal experience, if you've sat on that grid thinking, I can win this, or I've got a chance.
I've got to be in that headspace of I can do that.
It's very rare you would win a race without at least thinking you've got a chance on when you sat on that grid.
Yeah, we've talked about this. There are times where I think particularly we've had it at Bradford, we've had success at Bradford, when you know that you're in with a shot, it's sometimes like watching a different driver in with this experience as guys got.
Yeah.
So are you get in the car in plenty of time, take your time belting yourself up, or are you there shouting the gates closing and you just jump straight in?
I find it easier I hate waiting in my car. I hate it when there's a long yellow flag or which delay getting on track. I've got to be able to get in my car in seconds and the green flag's going in the next 5 minutes.
Is that why? Because a lot of people will sit in the terraces their whole lives, and a race will be coming onto the track and they'll say, why aren't these drivers ready? Why are we sitting waiting around? Like that last race finished 15 minutes. Why are stock car drivers not in their cars ready to go?
I think it's a bit of more of a mental thing for me, because there's more time to sit and doubt yourself, and I've never done well if I've ever doubted myself. So if I'm getting in the car, I can do this. Strapped in, don't even have time to think. I'm on the track and we're going. I can do this.
I'm the same. I think when you sat in a car, especially when because some tracks do call you really early, don't they? Like probably 2 races before. And I don't know if you ever say it out loud, but I feel like when you're just sat there, especially if if you're at a track you're not particularly real confident anyway, like you say, things start running in your head and it's like you kind of, I'm not going to say you're defeated before you start, but like Pete said, it's probably a bit of self-doubt, isn't it? You start thinking about the wrong things really, like, is that right? Could that...
Yeah.
I do agree with that, to be fair.
Yeah.
So do you see the hot stocks, that's where you're going to be long term? Are there plans to move on to other things? What do you kind of see in the future? Obviously, university at the minute, so is it going to be career focused and maybe racing will come to an end?
Right, at the minute I'm quite lucky. I can just rock up and get in my car and enjoy racing and turn up and drive, really, because I have a busy life outside of racing as well, living far away from here and having a uni life and a job. It's just, for now, V8's perfect for both of us, I feel.
For me,
and
forever.
We're not thinking of doing anything.
So your success so far hasn't got your mind racing, I want to jump into an F1?
No, not at all. It's very just relaxed.
I know you've said you'd like to have a go in one.
Yeah, I'd love to know what it's like to drive an F1.
Uncle Danny is keen.
Well, Grandad Frank is keen for me to get in an F1. He tells me every time I do well, I need to get you out in an F1. We'll send you out. And I'd love to try it.
Danny's going to have to promise to let me play with the setup, though.
Yeah.
Because I know how he has it set.
You've been in the Heritage F1s.
Yeah.
What's that like, driving one of those?
Ridiculous.
Compared to this thing here?
It's just the most ridiculous thing ever. The size of the steering wheel and my knees sticking out the cab. And the bruises I get after going out in a Heritage is just, it's so much fun without the power steering and having a gigantic bus wheel and the power.
It makes you appreciate the luxuries you have.
It sends you back in time, and then you're experiencing that. And then you think about what it's just luxury.
What I find with them heritage cars is you get in and you drive it off the trailer or through the pits or whatever, and you think, this is horrific. I wouldn't want to drive this at any speed.
Yeah.
But then when you get it up on the plane, as I say, up the speed, it all comes right.
Yeah.
There's the thing mentally, which I know it was all like that back in the day, but it's like the steering. I just couldn't imagine driving something at speed holding a wheel like that. It just wouldn't, naturally, it just wouldn't feel
it's
right.
It's the last thing on your mind, Guy, once you get going.
Yeah.
I'd imagine it.
Yeah, but and you forget about it, and it feels all right.
Racing a heritage, I feel, is a skill to master.
I think what is really enjoyable, particularly somewhere, and probably a lot of people agree around Odsall, is the heritage is all about cars to a certain extent. Does it really matter who's in them as long as they can handle it? But watching whoever's in it working so hard just
to keep it on track in the first place, let alone try and race it.
It's good entertainment, that is, watching them try and get them round.
It's good fun.
Fantastic. So if I just jump across to Dan, when did you back away from F1s and why did you make that decision to kind of hang it up?
There was multiple reasons, really. I'm terrible with years, but I guess it's around 2013, 2012 that I backed in. So the first reason was Gracie was old enough and started racing these ninja karts, and we were travelling up and down the country doing that. Secondly, I felt like the sport had moved on a little bit. We were on Goodyear tyres now, and I'd changed all my car around, moved the engine back to try and get more bite and all that, and it worked. But I didn't have enough power to back up the changes with the new tyres. It was just, and I was struggling. I was sat on that grid knowing that I wasn't going to win this race for sure. So I was starting to feel like I was there just making up the numbers, which, like I said, that's no good. I don't have to win, but I need to know there's a slim chance. So there was that. And then also my granddad, who obviously was the start of it all, and his life was me racing. He passed away, and it just didn't feel the same without him.
Hunger had gone a bit.
Well, yeah, it just wasn't the same without him. Yeah. He was there every meeting I went to. Okay, he might not have been in the pits handing out the spanners or anything, but he was in the bar having a beer and loving life, if you know what it was. So, and those were the three reasons I jacked it in. And obviously Dowson come along and offered me some money for it. And when I had it to sale for quite a while, and with it being so oddball, the car, it wasn't really, not gaining a lot of interest. But John wasn't afraid, and he liked the price.
So why in a sport where everybody's running a Chevy now, why on earth were you the one person that decided you were going to run a Buick and still run competitively against those Chevys?
Well, it wasn't a decision. That's what we had. That's what was in that old car. And at the start, it was good enough. We built it up slowly, improved it slowly, and it was moving with us, if you know what I mean. Yeah, okay, we had lots of blow-ups along the way, and trying to get this, it's basically a road car engine to do what it does, scream at 6,000 RPM round Sheffield is not what it was designed to do. But it's never, we all have a life outside of racing as well. Trying to buy a house and, it never cost me a lot of money. Okay, it blew up a lot, but we were able to fix it each time for a few £100 to get it on the track again. I never had that massive, whatever, £5,000-10,000 outlay to buy an engine. And it was getting to that point before I retired that I was having to get thinking about.
Hitting a crossroads.
Yeah, I remember speaking to Peter Knight and pricing up bits and that. And then my dad said to me his old famous saying that he always said when anyone asked him why we don't race a Chevy, and that was, well, we only go racing to beat Chevys. Yeah. So that sort of signed the end of it, really.
You'd already named our dog Buick, but it's a rename of Chevy. So.
Yeah, that as well.
Right, so I'm going to offer this next one to all three of you. Okay, so different stages of careers and things. Which driver would you say is your biggest rival, or perhaps a driver that you enjoy racing against, or maybe don't enjoy racing against? So, Gracie, who so far in your career would you say is the biggest rival?
If I was to name a driver and say they're my rival, I'd just be lying, because I've never really had rivals or rivalries anyway. So I'm not just going to pick someone at random.
So who do you like racing with? Who have you had like good wheel-to-wheel battles with?
I really enjoy racing with a lot of drivers, but then I love racing against people like Thomas Brighton and Dan Hall and Sophie Maynard, especially this year. I feel like we're really battling it out between us, and it's just, when you get off track, it's just all respect. And I think that's what makes it so enjoyable in the first place. There's no dirtiness or hatred, really. It's just racing and good racing.
Dan, rivals, people you like racing with?
Yeah, lots of them really. As you mentioned earlier, Steve Kaiser. I remember having lots of good races with him, and whether you came out on top or not, there was always that thumb come out the cab after the race to each other, and you never gave each other any quarter, you know what I mean? And to still enjoy it and give someone a thumbs up, that means it was a good stock car race. So I can't pick names, but yeah, Steve Kaiser, we always had a good race.
Guy, rivals, people you enjoy racing with?
Not so much rivals. Obviously, you've had run-ins with people over the years, 2 or 3 people that stand out.
I saw you burying someone on the internet the other day.
Bit out of character.
Peter's clickbait, that one.
Worked a treat. Do that a bit more this year, get loads of views.
Like probably back in 2013. I don't really know how it started, but like we laugh about it now. We're even talking about doing one of these, but I had a few months where with Chris Gracie, I don't know how he was a gold roof at the time, and I was only like a blue top, but we had 2 or 3 comings together, and they weren't really comings together where do you know what I mean? They come by accident, or I thought they did, but yeah, it just boiled up to a point at Coventry one night where we had a sort of big fallout, and then things happened there, and we shook hands and had to go and speak to different people in a naughty corner, but he messaged me at night, and ever since then we'd laugh about it now, and I've got a lot of respect for Chris, and that's the only one that I'd really stand out where I wouldn't say it even went sour, but it just, for a few months there, it was just, I don't know, it just seemed every time we crossed paths there were sparks, but I wouldn't really say it was a rivalry in terms of racing. It's the same as Gracie. I enjoy racing everybody as long as they're not trying to drive through your front wheel. I'm not really bothered as long as you come off and you've had a good race with somebody. You're happy, aren't you? So and everybody's clean as well. Touch wood. So
we've talked about some success that you've had, and you've mentioned things like rollover in the Ninja car. You were both in that Bristol World Final. Is that the biggest kind of crash incident that you've been involved with? Because that was insane.
In my entire racing career, I wouldn't say that's the worst crash that had impact on me. I think that was the most triumphant crash. The most spectacular one, yeah. But the worst crash I ever had was definitely at Buxton in my Mini, when actually I was looking in my mirror too much and we'd taken it out of the car because he's sick of it, I'm sick of it, and I just turn across some poor girl and this was back when they had the big bank with the tyres sticking out before they'd redone the track, and I just turned across and been shot and spun through the air like a helicopter, landed with one wheel left on my car, probably got hit a couple of times after I'd landed, dent someone's mesh. That was, I think that was probably one of the worst crashes.
If you can dig them pictures up, I'd love that.
Yeah.
I fixed it.
Yeah, and then he fixed it.
I said, should we go out? Oh no.
Because it was a double Buxton. And
you fixed it at the track.
Fixed it. He fixed it.
Single-handedly. It was only me and you there.
Went out racing.
It was only me and you there.
Yeah.
We're on our own. Yeah, I remember
by himself
fixing it, and like I think we were parked near Birchie, Tom Birchenough, and his granddad, John Aldridge was there. He was sat on his trailer watching me. You know, they thought I was just trying to cobble it up to get it on the trailer, you know. He watched me the whole time, and each corner got it going. We went back out for the Grand National.
Yeah.
He come over to me like he does. Oh, quite good mechanic, aren't you? In his John way. So yeah, I got a little bit of respect that day as well, because it was wrecked.
I think sometimes it's a satisfaction when you do have a big one. Like we've had situations, haven't we, where it's all hands on deck, and you just try and muck in where you can, and it's even if you know it's going to be crap, it's just a satisfaction of getting it back on track, isn't it?
Well, and another thing to look at as well, I always think, we went home that day after that big crash. It's ended on a real negative, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It's hard to come back to the next meeting from that, but you've got it back together, even if you've just gone out and finished, but, we did well, you know, that you finished on a little bit of it's like getting back on the horse after you fell off, isn't it? You've always got to...
I'm pretty sure the next day I went out and had one of my other biggest crashes where I got T-boned down the straight.
Yeah,
and that bruised heavy.
I remember Andy Smith, who was there with Rebecca, and he was helping fix your car. He got his disc cutter out, welding bits on the side.
Brutal.
And while he was doing this, I think Lisa and Hilary, like Lucy said, it was a double Buxton. They were there cooking breakfast and that, and they made me and you breakfast. Yeah. Andy was cutting away, and I said, "Oh no, this is fine," but you know what? They push it on you. You know, you've done plenty for us. Your grandma used to cook us breakfast, blah-de-blah, and all that. I said, "Okay then," and Andy finished cutting, turned round, and there was no breakfast left. We'd ate it. Oh, it was gutted.
Right, so at this point, around the table, we probably know a few 2026 fixtures. We're waiting for it to come out, and a lot of excitement around it. If you three could pick maybe somewhere different for the V8s to go and race this year, where would you pick? Where would you like to go? Somewhere different. Where would you like to go?
Well, it'd be nice to get another shale track, wouldn't it? We're everybody's low on shale tracks. So maybe if we could get a go at Scunthorpe or something like that.
I appreciate some more shale track.
It looked pretty good with the F1s this year at Scunthorpe.
Guy? You're going to go Scunny as well, aren't you? You like Swaffham, you like to go there, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you love Swaffham,
yeah, Swafham's classic for me.
The thing is a bit selfish for Swaffham, but naturally, like you guys here, if Coventry come back, you always want to be close to Ireland, don't you? Yeah. But yeah, Swaffham would be good, Scunthorpe would be brilliant.
I've always wanted to race at Coventry, and it just shut before I never had the chance. I'd love that opportunity if it ever did come back.
It's almost like the Holy Grail, even with Bradford coming back, people still see Coventry as where it's at.
There's no stadiums though, isn't there? There's nothing quite like a stadium. It's like, I think Dan described like a Coliseum. It is a bit like that, which is why every time we pull up to Bradford and we look down, I always go,
Bradford's very Coliseum with the music, the soundtrack as well that you play.
And the rugby league fans don't seem to like going there, but to us it's like going to Wembley. We love it.
The only time I didn't like going out to Bradford is at her four-car final. That took some getting back in at that time.
That was humbling.
So that was World Final night. It was atrocious. And then 4 drivers went out. So it was yourselves, Stephen Young, and Brownie.
Bradford 4.
Why did you what on earth went through your head that you decided you were going out?
Can I take this one?
Yeah, go
She was done, much like yourself.
Shaking.
Shivering, soaked.
Yeah.
Everything was just brown in the van.
Are you going to tell us it wasn't Gracie, it was you in the car?
No, it was definitely Gracie. And Guy had actually come round the pit trying to rally drivers. They still wanted to put on a final. He needed some drivers. I said, well, car's all right, but Gracie's not very happy. So I went and spoke to her, and we were looking at the programme there, I think.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, I'm done. And I remember reading how the first female finisher gets a bottle of champagne from the Lomax team. She goes, yeah, I'll go out.
Might as well.
And yeah, so you got another driver there. But I think you're glad you went out.
Yeah, of course I am.
Because
to be one of those drivers that did, despite the awful conditions, it's just...
So you were a bit quiet about it, but you were going to 3 Bradley finals on trot, weren't you?
Yeah, somewhere like, I called him out there, Dave cheated and put a nice little bonus on my back if I could win 3 finals on a trot, which at the time I wasn't very enthusiastic. But when I see, I thought there's not going to be many in this now. So I thought what odds are all the time increasing a bit. Yeah. I thought by the time everybody can't see, it's just whoever gets to the front, isn't it?
There was a lot of discussion that day about running the World Final. So the V8s were there on the Saturday and the Sunday. And I think, am I right that you were going away the day afterwards?
Yeah, if the World Final had been moved to Sunday, I wouldn't have been able to take part in it at all because I would have been in Greece.
So, was it it was what it was? Was it the right decision to run it, do you think, or should it have been delayed a day?
I mean, I think they had all the TV crew set up and running, and I don't know. I actually couldn't say.
Like Gracie said, it's hard because you'd easily sit now and drivers, when you see drivers having to go to hospital, can't see enough. It's not a nice thing, but
yeah, my own uncle.
Yeah. But then at the same time, you've got to look at it on a flip side of Bradford, like your Stocksy's stance, like they've invested in a meeting, and obviously, like behind closed doors, there's bills, there's stuff to pay in that, and you're all there, and everybody at some point in their lives raced a horrendous meeting, and it wasn't nice, but you've just got to get on with it, haven't you? Like for me personally, it might sound selfish, but it's 150 mile each way to just keep it in the back of a bus.
Yeah,
the diesel side of it, like. It's not cost effective, is it?
I think the meeting decided to run, and it's an experience on the belt for everyone.
It was a difficult one because, like you say, really, it wasn't. At this day and age, it wasn't safe for drivers and their eyes and all that. But there's so much riding on it, isn't there? And I will say it's. Yeah, I know Sophie didn't go out, and I actually don't blame her. Yeah. I have no loss of any respect for Sophie for making that decision. It's each and everyone's own decision.
I said under art, the way I see it now looking back, it was probably naturally it was a freak day, which you're probably likely to get in any sporting event, probably happen once every 10 or 15 years, and it was just unfortunate. It was their biggest night of the year, but you can't blame a promotion for that. They didn't dealt with whatever, did they? So, I just remember we had Jamie who helped us. He refused to come out of the bus, didn't he, after the World Final?
I mean, I think that's the one meeting where even I just I'm not watching it in the F1, I just don't care.
He come out to strap me and Jamie, and I remember Peter saying, he's like, I like being here to support you, but he said, I'd much rather be at home, mate. So better finish this or something.
Yeah. Right, so with I think the hot stocks are really great. I think we've had another good season. We've had some good car numbers, strong car numbers. So how does the formula keep that going, and how does it keep attracting new drivers? What's appealing about the hot stocks, and how does it keep moving forward? Because we're past 40 years now, we're still going strong. What does the formula need to do to keep attracting people to come and take part?
Well, I think it's all good as it is. I think you could quite easily mess it up by making a big change. Tyres, suspension, engines. It's everybody, I say to you all the time, you go to a meeting, you don't know who's going to win.
This is true.
There's never, he's going to win. And there's never someone that wins all 3 races very often. It's very
You never know
varied,
who to put your bets on, really. It's really tight.
which says how good the rules and everything are keeping it close. So really, I think we all need to keep it as it is, really. Just work on the promotion
And what we're doing
rather
right
than
now,
messing with car specs and making changes there. I think everyone's quite happy. I was a little bit worried about the tyres when we got into it. These Max Sport tyres are, they're 80 quid, but they bloody last.
It's a cost effective.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. So I'm actually take my words back about them. It's all right.
I think what you do with the social media side of it as well is really good, and everyone, like what we're doing now and keeping it up on Facebook. And
me and John are both, and Frankie Burgess does a lot, but everybody, whether it's Tebs, everybody, their view on this is like, if somebody just watching this today, if you just get 2 people come to a V8 meeting, or even a stock car meeting, if it's 2 new people, it's done its job, hasn't it?
Yeah. Exactly.
So we talked about tracks. Which drivers are going to be the drivers to watch? Up and coming drivers. Who's your money going to be on for major titles in 2026? What are your thoughts?
Gracie Squire.
I think Dan Paul.
I think he's due, isn't he? He has the Scottish.
Yeah.
And he's good.
And he is really good. I mean, means business.
Yeah.
I can tell.
Yeah.
He gets in it. He wants to win every race, which I know every driver does, but he naturally.
He's got the
So
drive.
as we were saying earlier about the people in V8s, he is a perfect example. He is a hard stock car driver. He's going for it full on. But get out of the car after, you can't find a nicer bloke, can you?
Yeah.
He's...
I like the way, the attitude they have, like whether it's a Skegness or anywhere, if it's a double header, they just live it like a proper stock car team. Fix, then have a beer after, barbecue downtown, and then just come back and just save again next day.
Yeah.
Any other kind of younger white graders, yellow graders you think you can see coming up?
I think Tom Dunn's actually going to see a jump in him this year. He can drive. And he took some wins in the last.
We know Tom well, don't we?
Yeah, I know he can drive from minis.
If he concentrates more on the car than his hair and his overalls, and he'll do good.
Yeah.
But he likes to look good. The stickers is the most important thing.
That way,
We had some real good races in minis, me and him. We were always just fair, respectable. We'd race hard. And I know we can. Yeah, definitely watch out for him next year.
See, another one just popped in my head, like Frankie Burgess. He's been doing it a couple of years now, but towards the end of last year, when he can get everything sort of right, he's pretty quick. He's just got to tame his enthusiasm because he's a bit eager, isn't he?
I agree. He was looking good. He was going well at Gala night until he tipped it over, wasn't he?
That was a good way to end the year. That was a good one. So you talked about... Oh, sorry, go on, guys. No,
I said it just again, like when you look at where he's based in retrospect of other people, where they travel, like their enthusiasm for doing it and doing pretty much all the meetings, you've got to tip your cap to, haven't you?
Definitely.
You talked about Dan Paul being a hard driver. We've talked about this in the past. NZ team's coming up. You've got Team GB. We were taking a team hot stocks over to New Zealand. which drivers would you put in the cars? Who's going to go with you if you were picking? Would you have Dan Paul in there somewhere because he is a hard driver?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, no disrespect, but I wouldn't have you because I don't think it's you're very British in your stock car racing. You race to win. There's no, like you say, you don't have rivals. You've never really seen real red mist and wanted to. And I think you've got to have that in you to do the NZ style stuff.
Yeah.
So I would say Dan Paul, Tom Brighton, John Brown.
I think that's good. And then, but really as well, you need people that have been there, seen it, and done it, because you've got to sort of have a bit of a knowledge of what's going on, don't you?
Yeah, which Tom and John have both been over there and done a little bit.
He's not afraid to get stuck in.
It's different. You're not always racing to win. You're blocking and all that.
It's
I don't think I'll be very good at it. I want every man for himself just to win. That's what I am. Even if it's your daughter, I'd crash you to win the race.
This is what I want for my future, is to be able to go out in a race against him. I'll even show up and see him race, because I wasn't there to watch him race Gala night when he did.
So when is the Squire Hot Starts build going to start? That's got to be in the pipeline.
I really would like to build one, and I think probably learn enough with this car to have enough ideas to build one. But the way Gracie is with her busy life, it's hard to, really do it warrant building a new car. It's a lot of work for me, and this is going so well. Like you say, your old leather boot is pretty good.
I think it has a notch as well, like you say, like V8s. There's not many Formula. Like, there's generally a lot of people still at the topish end of a Formula running like old cars. And it just proves you haven't got to have new cars to be competitive in it. Which there's a lot of Formulas. Like F1, you can probably come in with an older car, but realistically, your cars have got to be always there.
So I think it's not off the cards, but not this year. We'll see what this year brings, and then maybe.
And if you did end up with two, would you be tempted to go out as well?
Yeah, I'll have a go. I'll have a go. Especially if Coventry was open.
Yeah, that's what Dan and Mark Paul do. Mark just sort of does what he fancies, doesn't he?
I think if Mark fancies it, he just pops in, don't he? Takes a heat win, and then that does him.
Yeah. Well, playing grades, yellow grade, Bradford can't touch him.
I'm sure lots of people would love to see you out in Preston in V8s.
He's waiting for Coventry to be open. Coventry special.
We'll all be there. Probably 50, 60 of you booked in if Coventry opens.
In fairness, looking at your still your car's technically already sat there. It just needs pieces together.
Yeah.
Right. We've come to the end of the kind of notes and bits that we've jotted down. Is there anything else you want to cover? Is there anybody you want to thank? Anything else kind of?
I think we can't sort of sit in front of this and you not tell us a bit about this engine.
Okay. So this has been stored away for many years, and I dug it out for this just to give it an airing and show it off again. Years ago, I can't remember, it's probably mid-2000s. I can remember it's coming up to my birthday. I've been told I'm not to look in the garage, not to go in the garage. I knew something was going on, and I was working nights at the time, and I remember coming home there and everyone's still in bed. I looked through the window and I could see an engine on the stand, all shiny, just part built. And I thought, we're on here, getting a new engine for my birthday, Chevy or something, Anyway, birthday comes around, and there's a engine-sized birthday present wrapped up there. Take the covering off, and it's a coffee table. And not only is it a coffee table, it's a coffee table made up of all the bits that I've knackered and blown up over the years. So that's what it is. But it's a good...
That's still a pretty cool present.
Yeah, it is cool. It is cool, yeah. So yeah, I had to carry on racing with the old faithful Buick anyway.
Definitely a showpiece, isn't it? I've been looking at it the whole podcast, just can't keep looking. Catches your eye, definitely.
Right, so we draw to a close. Do you want to mention anyone, any thank yous?
I really want to thank my team and Craig for always coming down and helping out Dad with the car and getting us racing.
Craig is he was my mechanic when I raced, and he's still just as keen now, and he actually his enthusiasm for it eggs me on. You know, them cold nights where you think, oh, I'm not going to go out in the garage tonight. He'll be on the phone, come on, let's go, let's get.
Rocks off.
So without Craig, yeah, the Squire Racing team wouldn't be what it is.
And family as well.
I mean, really, when we go to the tracks, it's me, you, Craig, Sam, and Skylar.
Yep.
So it's not, we haven't got a huge crew.
Proper family. Get together.
And Skylar's only 12, but she will do whatever is asked, won't she? She'll be scraping dirt off.
We don't really have much sponsorship. It's just family support.
Yeah.
And we really appreciate it. Got a good family behind me. With racing.
And your granddads are well into it, aren't they?
Both of my granddads, yeah.
I think you've got to ask at least what our aims for next year is.
Aims for next year? What do you reckon for next year then?
Well,
European, you've got a British and a world to chase now.
Always just wanted a world final under my belt. I want to be a world champion. And that's obviously like an aim for next year, but if not, the year after, we'll try again.
I asked her the same question a year or two ago. We sat in a pub garden.
Yeah.
And I said, what's the ambition? What's the end game? When will this end? You know? And she said, oh, well, I'd like to be gold top. I was like, well, some people tried that for 50 years and never got it. It's a fair thing to commit to, isn't it? And you doing what you do and just turning up every now and again might not be enough to get a gold top.
If you think about it at the moment, there's some slim chance and with evidence of it.
Yeah.
And that's with me rocking up to 11 out of 20 meetings. And if I was to sit and go for it, and
I certainly wouldn't count you out.
Push aside.
But what all my point
plans for a year
is there's people that this is all they do. They just question after the Holy Grail. They're working on their cars right now while we're sat talking.
I appreciate.
So you've got to go. You've got to go against them.
Stockcars, I know that. But that'd be an end goal for me to be world champion someday.
I think it would be a nice swan song, wouldn't it? We could retire happily.
We've been chasing it 20 years. You haven't managed it yet. So
yeah, but you might be old and grey and still not have it.
The world finals, they're such funny races, aren't they?
Yeah.
Like Grant Lever, he'd probably even admit to himself, he probably naturally wouldn't have dreamt his wildest dreams of going to Bristol, and then what unfolded, and then to come away as world champ. But just like a fairy tale, isn't it?
It is, and you can't take it away from it.
You've done everything.
You know, you go across that line in the Stockcar race first, you're the winner, whether everyone's crashed or not, it doesn't matter, does it? You've won it.
When you watch that race, everything after that first few laps, Grant drove like a proper stock car driver, didn't he? He just dealt with everybody he needed to do.
Damn, we're chasing hard, weren't we? Really chasing him.
Well, I had to remind myself, really, that you nearly did it this year. It only took
second.
It only took Tom Brighton to pop a tyre or get a misfire, and you didn't even know you were second, did you?
You can go anywhere with a world final. It can be ridiculous, and it could be an accident, or it can be meaningful. You don't have to win that, but
you never like wishing bad luck on anybody, but honestly, when it's conditions like that, probably right back of your head, there probably was somewhere inside you thinking, please just blow a water hose or something, please.
It was hard enough to follow from the stands.
I had no idea where I were in the world that entire race. I just knew I had to keep it on track. And then
I don't think Brian Andrew did, but I spoke to him.
We had no idea. We just pulled up first, second, third, and we're like, well done.
We joked about this, and I'm probably going to stick it on a podcast, but there's a photo of you, Brian, and is it Tommy Bright on a line, and you're like, it looks like you're praying for water.
It was something like hosing you all down, and all of you was like,
then Brian looks like he's crying because he can't see.
What made me laugh was Brian, he had a good waterproof suit on, he's obviously he's been about a bit, hasn't he? He knows what he was going into, and he took it off foolishly to go on the podium, and then these two, Tom and Gracie, absolutely nailed him with the champagne.
Yeah.
He didn't even get his open.
What a contrast, though. You've got the most experienced hot stocks driver, and then two, really young drivers on that podium.
The weird thing about that weekend for me is you had all that on a game going back. Like, it's easy for people to criticise, but the Sunday was lovely sun out and the track was superb condition again. The dust were flying, so just you can't have the weather, can you?
I went home, I had enough on that Saturday. That was me done.
That's the only ever stock car meeting where it's finished. We went to a pub up the top, which we ordered Domino's pizza, and that was the most exciting thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
So, happy.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your time. Thank you for showing us around. We've got some really good footage, guys. I'll put it all in.
Have you got a page to follow on Facebook? Squire Racing, or is that?
No, not really.
I'm missing out. So
I'll make one.
Hey, give it a follow, Squire Racing. So you make one tonight.
Right, brilliant. Thank you. We're filming a week before the awards due, so we'll see you both next weekend. Gracie will be up and down all night collecting trophies and awards and things. A good night.
It will be.
So we don't have any sponsors, but we should really thank Haircroft Motorsport, Bruno and John. They're really good to us. I help John, he helps us. It works really well. But if anyone's in the need for any stock car parts or bits, talk to them. If they haven't got it, they'll make it.
And also, if I'm sure these guys ain't going to turn down any support, if you want to get involved with one of the top ladies in the sport, go and see them. I'm sure you wouldn't say no to some sponsorship, would you?
No.
Anybody wants to come on board?
Yeah, we've got a lot of room on the car.
So that's it.
Brilliant.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.